concealer looks good for the first 20 minutes of the day and then it starts to betray you, it may not be the product or products you're using, it may be the prep and the placement. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Jody. I'm 56. Think of me as your midlife beauty bestie, where we are navigating the aging process together. Some days gracefully, some days not so much. All right, let's start with our concealer. In order to get a good concealer application that lasts all day, you want to start with a good base. And what I mean by that is hydrated. You want to ensure that you've got this under eye area nice and hydrated, but not so much of a serum feeling left behind that your products slip. What I mean by that is if you wear a heavy oil or a serum, you want to apply that about 10 minutes prior to your makeup application, and then go in with a light sponge, a beauty sponge is fine, or maybe a tissue, and just pick up any residual product. Because what happens is if that product is too slippery, when you put your concealer on top of it, it's just going to slide into your wrinkles. So you want that under eye area hydrated, but not so slippery that your product can't stay. To prep my under eye area, I use the Regelica Anti-Aging Cream. I use the smallest amount, put it on my ring finger, and then just lightly dab it in. I already have some on, so I'm not gonna do it, but I wanna show you. I go right from the outer corner and work wherever I'm going to apply concealer. Let that set for about 10 minutes. If you are somebody that likes to prep your under eye area with those under eye pads, those work too. You just wanna make sure that you pick up any residual product after removing them. What can happen with those is once you remove the pad, if there's too much product left on your under eye area, that product might start to peel, and it won't peel right at first. You'll just start to see it peel once you've applied concealer. You'll look in the mirror and wonder why that under eye area looks flaky. It's not your under eyes flaking, it's most likely the product left behind from the eye pads. All right, so now let's talk about discoloration. If you're somebody that carries dark circles under your eyes, you may need to opt for a color corrector before your concealer. Here's a big tip for women over 50. If you carry discoloration or dark circles under your eyes, instead of opting for a thicker, more full coverage concealer, which you might have got away with in your 30s and 40s, it's far more attractive, appealing, flattering to apply a color corrector first to neutralize the discoloration, and then go in with a thin layer of a medium to lightweight pigmented concealer. I like the Refresh Eye Brightener by RMS. This is an SPF of 30 and it's in the shade Cherish. It's a thin formula and neutralizes any of that discoloration, the darkness, the blue or purple underneath my eyes. I'm finding that I use more and more RMS products as the years go on, and I really think it's because they are formulated to work on our more mature skin. This color corrector, for example, hydrates the under eye area while you're wearing it. So you can see the difference between this side and the side that we haven't neutralized. Now, if I was gonna go and just put a thick coverage concealer on this, it would cover, but it would crease throughout the day because that formula is just so thick. So use a color corrector if you need to first. For products in my under eye area, I have just fallen in love with this Nikki LaRose N19. I still use my fingers sometimes, but I find that I get a more even application and I don't stab myself in the eye as often with my nails. So that's why I love this, and it gives me that nice sharp angle. So a lot of reasons to love this, but if you don't have a brush like this, you can certainly use your fingers. I wouldn't use a beauty sponge. I just find that it is too uneven with the application. So light, soft pats, so that product is really spread out. And now that I've got the discoloration gone and I have a more even skin tone, now it's time to brighten that area, and that's where the concealer comes in. Now you guys know I am sort of a concealer snob. I test a lot of different concealers. I like this one by Charlotte Tilbury. It is a thicker full coverage foundation. I find it way too thick for my more mature eyes now. I do like the Silky Blur by Essence. It's a good drugstore alternative to the one that we're gonna use today. I tried the new Makeup Forever concealer I was talking to you guys about. It has the brush on top, and it's okay. I just think there are better on the market. I do like their new Balance and Perfecting foundation, but the concealer, I just didn't find that it worked as good as the one I'm going to use today. Other concealers that I've used, I've tried Valentino. This wore off pretty quickly. Gucci, again, looked good in the beginning, but wore off fast. Dior used to be a favorite of mine until the one I'm using today came out, and I haven't used this one since. I haven't tried the new MAC Studio Fix concealer. This one's supposed to be really hydrating. I found that it wore a little too thin. Now, if I'd have set it with powder, it might have worked better, but nothing has compared to the one I'm going to use today. If you guys have watched my channel, then you know which one I'm going to reach for, and that is the Revitalize by RMS. I really like this concealer because you can see that I don't need to really conceal anything. I need to brighten. So that's where this comes in. And again, 2 thin layers is way better than 1 thick layer of the Charlotte Tilbury, for example. So here's a good way to explain it. Here's that color corrector, and I'm gonna use it with this lighter concealer. These 2 together will wear better on more mature eyes than 1 thick foundation, which is the Charlotte Tilbury. I really love this one, it's just too thick. All right, now let's talk about the placement of the concealer because this is a big deal. I'm going to take the concealer and work it into the tip of my brush. Really work in that product. Now, most people want to brighten this under eye area, but as older women, we carry some wrinkles through here. So you don't want to put that product straight into the high movement, high wrinkle area. I like to put a little bit of it out here because if you're like me and you're losing collagen and you're starting to have a little bit of a shelf or a shadow right through here, you're going to want to brighten that area up. We also want to brighten this inner corner of our eye. And then we want to bring that down just a little bit across the nose. So once you place that product where you want it, then you're going to softly blend it out and then move into those high movement areas just once, maybe twice, and that's it. Because we, again, are not trying to cover, we're trying to brighten. And the more product we lay there, the more we're going to have issues with creasing. And because of the angle of this brush, you can go right along and clean up any eyeshadow, any eyeliner, and carry it into your temple. I really enjoy taking that concealer into that temple area because as we've aged, we've lost collagen right through here. So much so that many women will get filler here to fill out this area because the face does start to look a little bit caved in, and it's a sign of aging when you're hollow through here. I'm not gonna add filler there, but I'm going to add a little bit of brightener just to make that look a little more full. And see where the placement of that product really brightens up this under eye area? Concealer is one of those things that I didn't have to pay as much attention to earlier in my makeup journey, being even just like 10 years ago. I don't think I focused as much on concealer as I have to now, because it creases so easy. Let's talk real quickly about the shade of the concealer. I use shade WN04 of the Revitalize. Let's talk about the shade of your concealer real quick. You want to opt for a shade that is only 1 shade lighter than your foundation or whatever you use as a base. So if you use a tinted moisturizer or tinted sunscreen, whatever that base is to even out your complexion, your concealer at this stage of life should only be 1 shade lighter. We used to think 2 shades, and when you're younger and you don't have as much movement or wrinkles or large pores, 2 shades lighter can be flattering. But the trend has sort of moved away from that look, and our more mature skin almost demands that we move away from 2 shades lighter. It just starts to look unnatural. The whole point of a concealer is to make this section of your face look a little brighter. And if you go 2 shades lighter than your foundation, it starts to look artificially lit, and you've probably seen your own makeup or maybe other women's makeup that just looks a little off. It's because that concealer is just too light from their foundation. Now let's talk about setting your concealer with a light powder. I like this Airbrush Brightening Powder by Charlotte Tilbury. And you guys, I literally use the smallest amount. It is so finely milled. I just get the tiniest amount. And then I will only put this where my under eye area tends to move. Now, if I needed this to last all day, I would use a little bit of setting spray on my fingers first and then tap it. But you'll notice I'm just putting it where I get the most movement, where I don't want that concealer to move. An important step here, before you apply your powder, you want to press that concealer out so that you don't have any creases and then apply the powder. Think of it as a stain on a shirt. If you have a stain on a shirt and you take it from the washer to the dryer, once it goes in the dryer, that stain is locked. Same with your under eye creasing. If you've got creases in your formula, don't set it with the powder until you have pressed those creases out and then lock it in with the powder. So the last thing we need to do here is add a little bit of blush, and for that I'm going in with the Giorgio Armani. This is shade 12. The last thing to do here is to add a little bit of blush. I'm gonna go in with the Giorgio Armani liquid blush. This is in the shade 12. This shade is my new favorite. Normally with blush, I would recommend that you go with the back of your hand. This is not super pigmented, and the doe foot applicator is so small that I'm gonna go in right on my skin. And I like to do it this way because then I can kind of see if I've gotten it even before I go to blend it out. And then with the light tapered fluffy brush, this is the N20 by BK Beauty Nikki LaRose collection. Just going to softly diffuse that blush. And you'll notice I'm carrying it just up to where that concealer is so that it blends, so that it doesn't look like one product started and the other one stopped. Just a real soft blend. And then I'll take that up to the temple and start to blend it into the hairline. I have loved blushes that don't really look like blush lately. That's kind of been my go-to. I just find that that is a really pretty look. And it's summer, so we'll just take what's left on the brush and go over the nose to look as though we got a little bit of a sun-kissed look. So there you go, a couple easy steps to help make your concealer look beautiful from the beginning of your day and last all day long without excessive creasing. All right, you guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to hype it. And if you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel because you don't want to miss anything. I do 2 videos a week. That does it for me today. Your algorithm says that you're going to like this video, so I'll meet you over there and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.